like kind of like almost like an equivalent to Harry Maguire. Like I don't know what the hell the coaches
Oh
see.
no, no,
No,
no,
no, no.
Maguire,
Like I don't
You,
I don't
Maguire.
know what they
you're good.
see in
No,
these guys.
Just like you mentioned earlier on in the podcast or earlier on, your dream is to go and watch Arsenal. Arsenal playing some attractive football. It needs to be said after 2 years of Mikel Arteta kind of having hits and misses as well, Ariel. So let me just get your first thoughts on Mikel Arteta, Gabriel Jesus, and your start to the season so far. I know we're only 2 games in, but you've got to praise what's actually just happened, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been quite a roller coaster of a ride so far with the emotions that come with Arteta. I think like when he was assigned to the job, it all started off kind of good, and then all of a sudden you just kind of get this big like low, and then you kind of get all this backlash, right? And of course, my context is from far away. I'm seeing the All or Nothing documentary. I'm like getting pumped up every time I'm watching that thing. I'm ready to go out there too, and like so I'm buying
I'm
into.
supporting the kit man as well. When no, not the kit man, the cameraman. When the cameraman's going, "This is my club. I effing love this
Yeah,
club. This is me." Even I was like,
I was
"Damn,
ready.
I want Arsenal to win," and I didn't want them to win in real life. So that's a bit
I,
surprising as well.
I
Crazy.
was getting my cleats on. I was getting ready to go. I was putting my uniform on. So, you
Oh
know,
man.
so you see that, and like I'm starting to buy more into him as a coach and just as like somebody that I think like is able to get it. I do think though that there are a little bit like a few far of a jump, right? Like I think that it's only the first two games. Crystal Palace to me is a tough team. Every time that they play them, they kind of struggle.
Crystal
Patrick
Palace
Vieira
away is always a big game as well for
Yeah.
Arsenal.
always. And Patrick Vieira, ex-Arsenal player, who wants to beat them. So there's that like storyline happening there. So it's a tough game. They played really well. This second game, they also played pretty well. And then there was I believe it was the second half where they were not as strong. Um, and so the team is starting to form. He has his players, and he's kind of coming up with his style. The style is kind of clear. I think Gabriel Jesus, I was kind of doubting him when we got him, but I mean, the dude is kind of balling out right now. Like he's kind of playing out of this like you can just tell he's just above the other guys' level. So, like he's coming from Man City where they're just used to winning. He's not
Yeah.
used to fucking getting smacked up. You know what I'm saying? So like he's on the other end of that. So you could just tell that we needed that. Like we need that like type of like mentality kind of coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like we need people that are winners because when Shaka, I mean bless his soul, when he's the leader in the locker room, we're not going far, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So but even him though, like he's starting to look good in the team, and I've been wanting to get that guy out of there for a minute. So the
Yeah.
fact that he's still there and he's kind of like he's looking good. But then again, like I said, it's the first two games, not the strongest of opponents. The next three games are not even that strong of an opponent until we actually meet some like real big heavy opponents. So, but so far, I'm riding it. Second in the table, riding it. This is not where we were last season.
That's what we're here for, isn't it? Because last season, Man United went off to a really good start, and we were riding it after beating Leeds five
Yeah.
one and beating Wolverhampton. I think we drew to Southampton as well. But Arsenal were the ones that lost the first three games. So literally, the tide has turned literally 180 from our team to your team and your team to our team. But you mentioned about Gabriel Jesus as well being a leader. What I really liked about him, and I never really saw this at City because you never really needed to in a way. When Gabriel Jesus was demanding the ball a lot more as well, especially from Granit Xhaka, from Partey in that Crystal Palace game, you're seeing him get really angry because they're not making progressive passes forward. They're not passing through the lines quick enough. And that's what I really think Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko are the new kind of leaders because they have seen the mentality monster in Pep Guardiola, really. And they've seen how well he can change some of these players. And some of these players before Pep Guardiola, as we know, Jack Grealish, João Cancelo, they were good players, but now they're even better players. Probably not Jack Grealish at this moment in time, but like Rodri as well, being one of the best centre defensive midfielders. Also, how is Rodri not in the Ballon d'Or contender list for top 30? I thought he was one of the best centre midfielders in the world, let alone centre defensive midfielders. That's crazy to see how he got omitted from that. Strange to see, really. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Arsenal. Adil, I know you're like number one Arsenal hater around here, so Objectively speaking, and then from
Oh
your own.
no.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
Oh no.
But yeah,
I wasn't an Arsenal hater up until I started working with a colleague of mine
that's why he's an Arsenal hater.
talks about Arsenal like they are, I don't know, the greatest team on the planet that's ever been.
They are the eighth wonder of the world, Arsenal Football
Yeah.
Club, to some fans.
I
Fortunately
literally,
not to Ariel. Ariel's a Spencer one, to Arsenal fan. That's why I got him on the podcast. Talk some sense.
I literally despise Arsenal now.
Well,
it's
if they're
like-
on like Troops TV, like Troops, then
Yeah,
I'm sure that
he
you
talks
probably.
he talks the same as Ty and Arsenal Fan TV. He
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
exactly the same.
That's my
it's
guy, though. I
It's
love
like
Ty.
Wenger was the best manager ever, and now Arteta's the man. He's the man from the Premier League. Jesus is the best striker since Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo.
Oh, 9. Oh, God.
It's like, oh my days. Gee,
Well,
it's
see,
2
I'm
games.
not that delusional. No.
It's like it's 2 games. Calm down, please. We'll wait till the end of September, October, then we'll see where Arsenal are.
One thing I
they've
wanted to ask you, Adil, objectively speaking, as well. Do you think they still need 1 or 2 more players in their team? Like, because I'm looking at the links of Yuri Tillemans, and I think he'd be a great player to have to try and complement Xhaka, probably take his place and work with Partey.
Yeah,
Do you think they need someone else as well, or
I
just probably
think
another
I
centre?
think Xhaka probably does need replacing in that centre of the park for them.
Mm.
I don't think he's, he'll have 2 or 3 good games, then he'll have 10 off games, and then he'll come back and have another 2 or 3, decent games, but then he'll go missing again. And then his temperament as well, he lets that get the better of him.
I quite like that about Xhaka, though. To be fair, I do like his temperament, because someone in that team needs a temperament like that as well. And
There's that as well, but then you've seen before where he loses it with the crowd and they turn on him and he turns on them.
Yeah, but we don't like Arsenal
Yeah.
fans that much besides Ariel here. So if he wants to go, wants to have a go at 60,000 Arsenal fans, he can. Why not? That's why I like Xhaka quite a lot as well. But
I
yeah,
feel like he's like kind of like almost like an equivalent to Harry Maguire. Like, I don't know what the hell the coaches see.
No.
No.
Like, I don't know what they see in these guys.
You're
that they
good
like.
with Xhaka. You're good with Xhaka. Believe me. You're good with Xhaka. Believe me.
That's just injustice to Xhaka.
Yeah.
Xhaka's a footballer.
I'm just saying, like, maybe not football wise, but I'm just saying, like, they must just do something in practice that, like, the coaches are just like, that's my guy. Like, that's my leader in the locker room. Like, they must just be doing something, because it baffles me till this day that this man is still at this club. The way he was with the fans, the way like that, like kind of just erupted. No real like dialogue about it. It was just kind of this thing, and then all of a sudden he's our captain. He's the one leading the dressing room. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Arteta's just kind of there, which is kind of, we don't know. We don't know what's happening, but obviously Arteta likes him. That's very obvious. I would even say that even if we were to get Tillemans, like, Xhaka would still probably start.
Really?
Probably.
Yeah, I think Arteta, that's his guy.
Yeah, because he plays favourites, so I'd imagine as well with that. Because we've still have. I know we're going to talk about. I want to talk about another player, but we'll continue with Xhaka. But what makes Xhaka so different to the other midfielders that you have? Is it his tenacity, like I mentioned, or was it because he's got an all-rounded kind of play, one of the longest-serving players? What do you think it is, Ariel, that makes him one of Arteta's favourites?
I think it's just because he's the oldest player in the team, one of the oldest players in the team. I mean, our team's hella young, like he's 28, about to be 29. Like, he's one of the older dudes. So we need somebody like of experience there. It just so happens that he's just really erratic. He's really like erratic with the way that he plays. So sometimes we could be playing really well, and then all of a sudden he'll give a penalty, and that'll deflate it, or he'll get a red. So while I like what you said about the emotions and, like, the passion type of deal kind of coming out, I also don't like when we're down a player because he couldn't control it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do believe we need a dog in there, though. I do think the midfield needs like a dog in there, because Partey is not that. I mean, I love Partey, but we just need like a dog in there. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody that's just gonna go in there and fight the balls. I really wish Arsenal would have gotten Bissouma, to be honest with you. Somebody that just Bissouma would have just, like, if we would have gotten him, a player like him, like, we could still get him, but like I think a player like him, just somebody that just is in there to just disrupt.
I think if
you
you
know.
went for someone like Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa, that would be a really good
Mhm.
signing. Someone who can
Yep.
have the energy and the passing range, but also, like you said, have a dog in him as well, which would be crazy to see. Because I know there was links of Moises Caicedo from Brighton as another
Mhm.
player for next season for Arsenal, but we'll see if that happens because he's only recently joined Brighton as well. It's like a year into his contract, so that could be something further down the line because we've seen Arsenal without the hard man in the midfield, without the proper guy to make the tackles, and we've seen how open they've been without someone like that. And you'd have someone
Mhm.
like Alex Song in there who's good, but he's not like a tough tackling centre defensive mid. Rash tackler, but not a tough tackling one. So it's good to see someone like Granit Xhaka kind of take his place in their way as well. And I know Arsenal got some really good young wingers coming through as well with Saka and Martinelli. But there's one guy I do want to talk to you about, Ariel. Nicholas Pepe. What's going on with him? Do you reckon he's going to be leaving? Because I feel like Arsenal still are lacking on the wings. Like if there was an injury to Saka, who would you play on the right with a left
Yeah.
footer? Who would you bring in? But I'm just kind of thinking, is there no way back for Nicola Pepe, or do you reckon it's time for him to finally go after 2, 3 years at the club?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Nicolas Pepe is like an unfortunate signing because the dude is just super talented. Like to me, like whenever I've seen him play, like he's just super talented. He's like a game changer, but it's just not the right system. Arteta seems to me like he wants his players to do very specific instructions. He's out there fucking like giving the whole game plan in the middle of the game. So like Pepe is just not that, you know. I think Pepe needs more freedom than that, and it's just not. Is. I don't think it's a good mix. I think I know that there was links for him to go back to France, and I think that would probably be best for him. Like I
Mm.
think it's just trying to separate because it's not working. Because even if Saka were to get injured, I don't think that this fool would play him. Like he just I don't think he really likes him that much. And Pepe, I mean, of course, again, I'm going by the documentary, but Pepe looks kind of lost. Like in the small sights that we do get of him in the documentary, he just looks kind of lost. He doesn't really know. It doesn't really seem like he knows what's happening.
Yeah, it's one of those where I'm looking at Nicolas Pepe and I'm thinking he likes having that less responsibility of defending from when you watched him for Nice, not for Nice, for Lille, sorry. And then when he was playing for Arsenal as well. Because in that first season, I thought he did pretty well. And Nicolas Pepe has a bad place in my heart for the entirety of my life, as Ada will know as well. I'll explain the situation. Nicolas Pepe scored against Man United on my wedding day, Ariel, and for the
Oh
viewers listening.
no.
And we were watching it together after one of our events, after our dues. And I was like, for goodness sake, man, Nicolas Pepe, why is he scoring? I think it's Pepe and Aubameyang that scored. So I'm
Yeah.
always kind of there, like, okay, this guy, if he's had a good start to this season, he'll carry on. But it's just so he's not getting his chance. And I think there's no replacing Bukayo Saka unless there is an injury, because I think it's starting every other game for you going forward. And I think that's where you need some genuine competition as well. So there were links of Pedro Neto from Wolverhampton Wanderers being signed by Arteta before deadline day in a couple weeks' time. Do you reckon he'll be someone that you'd love at Arsenal? Because personally, I think Pedro Neto would be amazing at a top four club. Someone
They're
challenging.
linked with them. They're linked with another player from. Is it Villarreal?
Yeah, Jeremy Pino. But I think
Yeah.
it's a bit too raw at the moment for the Premier League. I think Neto's a bit more established. I think it'd be a very good player to actually hold up the ball a bit more the way that Arteta likes to bring the midfield and the fullbacks into play as well. Jeremy Pino is a bit rash when I saw him for Villarreal. But Ariel, what are your thoughts on that? Do you reckon you actually need someone in the wing, or is it just kind of us like thinking you need someone else?
No, I definitely think Saka needs some competition. I think, especially in these last two games, I actually feel like Saka. I think the introduction of Gabriel Jesus is good for Saka's development because it's taking the spotlight off of Saka. So
Mm.
Saka is actually being able to kind of lay low. But now because his standards are so high, I feel like we're like kind of not even paying attention to the fact that Saka's not really even playing that. Like he wasn't really that crucial in many of the goals, you know, that were played up. So if anything, is Gabriel Martinelli that's been kind of standing out on the wings. Saka has kind of been on the outskirts of it. So I
Okay.
do think that they're like, and if he could get going, then I think the attack is, you know, much more well-rounded. But yeah, I think you do need some competition. He's probably still going to be the starter, but yeah, I think Neto would be a really good one. I think he's a beast. I think he would be a dope addition to the team. I think he has Premier League experience. I think that's what you kind of need, you know, and at least for a young player, some competition that has some knowing around the league. I also agree about the Villarreal kid. Uh, it's also like they're asking for a lot.
Yeah.
You know, for a kid that's like not even like what's the kid done so far? We're all just going off of potential, and I
Because
think I would
they
be
have
wary of
two
how
best.
much they spend.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. They have two better wingers in Danjuma and Chukwueze as well, who are their
Yeah.
first team wingers, who will probably be the same price as Pino as well, if not a bit less, because they're a bit more established in a way and they have less on their contracts as well. So even if you were to go for one of those wingers, they may be a bit more up your street than Yeremy Pino in a way as well. So that could be a nice little bargaining tool for Arsenal as well if they were to go for Chukwueze or Danjuma, for example, as well. Because Danjuma previously played for Bournemouth and now he did really well in this Villarreal team as well, which is really good to see as well going forward. But Ariel, I did want to ask you one more question on Arsenal before we move on to our next topic as well. Do you genuinely believe Arsenal will do well in the Europa League coming up as well? Because you're qualified for the Europa League, just like Man United, I believe, as well. So,
Yeah.
how do you think Mikel Arteta is going to play it? Because the Premier League season is going to be a long season. Do you reckon this is where he'll get the chance to rotate some of his youth players in, some of his fringe players in, like Vieira coming back into the squad and Smith Rowe coming back from injury as well? Do you reckon that'll be a good time, or do you reckon he'll go for first team, just because he wants that first taste of European silverware for Arsenal?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, I mean, if the team plays the way that they're playing, I think that they can win the Europa League.
Mm.
I think if they continue this, I think that they can win it. Top 4 through the Premier League, that's a little bit more tough. I think that's a little tougher. I think Spurs' team is just they're kind of, I don't know. That team is that's the team that like makes me nervous because I feel like though that's our only real competition for 4th place, really. Because I think Chelsea might slip up, but I don't know. I don't particularly see that happening that much. But Spurs, on the other hand, I don't know. I think Conte is just kind of turning them around. So I think that I would probably put my chips in Europa League.